So John Cena's announcement at Money in the Bank of him retiring has obviously sent shockwaves through the world of WWE, pro wrestling in general, and overall pop culture as a whole. And we're not just getting John Cena for just one retirement match, we're getting an entire Cena retirement tour. Which I don't know about you guys, but I'm all on board for that. So in this video, I'm going to go through a couple different matches that I would like to see John Cena have on his retirement tour. And I didn't just go through the main roster and go through all of the men's superstars and think of people who I think would make a really good John Cena match. I based it mainly off of their history together. So you're going to see two guys that have a ton of history together. One of them I think is kind of a wild card, but it's still something that I would love to see. Now, before we get going, a little bit of backstory that I feel like I should say. So I am still relatively new into this world of WWE. I really got into it during the pandemic because that was the only thing that was televised that was somewhat close to sports. I knew it had existed before, and I had a lot of friends in school that enjoyed watching it, but I never really got into it. Nobody in my family watched it, they all thought it was fake, and I inevitably just came up with the assumption that, yeah, it is fake. And I never really gave it a good opportunity until the pandemic. And I watched it on and on prior to the pandemic, but I never really got into it until the pandemic came around and I was fully hooked. So I did not grow up watching John Cena in wrestling. I knew him from movies, and I obviously knew that he was a wrestler, similar to how I knew The Rock used to be a wrestler. But I didn't grow up watching him in WWE like a lot of you did. So in no way, shape, or form am I a John Cena historian or somebody that knows all of his matches, all of his different rivalries. I know a lot, I know the majority of them, but I don't know all of them. So bear with me as I go through my couple picks that I would like to see John Cena have a match, a feud, whatever it may be on his retirement tour. So we're going to start off with kind of my wild card pick. This is somebody that I think would make a really, really good feud between him and Cena, and it's Logan Paul. And more specifically, whoever is controlling the United States Championship. Whether it is still Logan Paul, or maybe LA Knight, or maybe it's Carmelo Hayes, or maybe it's somebody completely different that I never even would have thought of. But a Cena versus Logan Paul match, promo battle would be simply fantastic, and it would be a really big money grab for WWE to do, so I do think that it's something that could be on the table, regardless of if Logan Paul is champion at that point or not. And since I do think Logan Paul is going to be the next United States champion, I added him on this list too, simply because they do have a little bit of history. So if you remember back to Payback last year, you will know that John Cena was the special guest referee for LA Knight and The Miz. Now, I will say that I am kind of partial to that match and that PLE as a whole because I was there and that was my first live pro wrestling experience. So that PLE and that match and a lot of those moments hold a special place in my heart because that was the first time that I really felt like I was a true WWE fan. So we got a couple moments between LA Knight and John Cena, so there's already some history to go back on, and I don't think that that's entirely out of the question either. Another guy to throw out there is Carmelo Hayes. We saw John Cena be in Carmelo Hayes' corner on an episode of NXT last year, so who's to say they don't go against each other? It would be a really big opportunity for Carmelo Hayes, but ultimately I don't think it would happen simply because, and I know I added him on this list, but out of the guys that I've mentioned so far, he's probably my least likely candidate and probably the one that I don't want to see the most. Simply because I want John Cena in this retirement tour to be Super Cena. I don't want him to lose. I don't want to see him put over any future talent. WWE has one opportunity to get this right, and I think they have to by bringing back Super Cena, regardless of if you hated Super Cena in the past or not. We saw what a good job AEW did with Sting's retirement. I want something like that with Cena, and I think a match between Logan Paul, LA Knight, Carmelo Hayes, whoever it may be, for the United States Championship, I think would go a long way, and I wouldn't mind Cena winning the US Championship at all. Up next, I would love to see John Cena do something again with CM Punk. Obviously, their feud was legendary, and meant so much to a lot of people that I think it would ultimately be a waste if WWE didn't have something going on between Cena and CM Punk. Not only do you have a legendary rivalry to build off of, but you also have two guys that respect the hell out of each other. And that can go a long way into building a really, really good story. In ring, we really don't have a ton to go off of. We know Cena can still go, obviously. We know CM Punk can still kind of go after the Royal Rumble, but we've not seen him yet in a one-on-one match since his return to WWE. But I think where this story would shine is the mic work. You have two of the GOATs when it comes to cutting a promo and mic work in general. So not only do I think it would be a good nostalgia trip for a lot of WWE fans, it would also just give a really good ending to what was such a big rivalry. So I do think that this one is pretty probable. However, I probably wouldn't bet my house on it. And last but certainly not least, I have the one that will most likely happen, and the one that I know a lot of other people want to see as well, and that is Randy. Not only are they really good friends outside of WWE, but they are two of the greatest superstars in WWE history, and they also have one of the most iconic feuds, in my opinion at least, in WWE history. And that may seem a little biased, but that's because it probably is, because Randy Orton is my all-time favorite WWE superstar. So I have gone back and watched his rivalry with John Cena, and it was simply fantastic. And I would love to see it come back again, but this one I think deserves to be at WrestleMania 40. I think if they're gonna have this match and they're gonna have this story, it deserves to be on WrestleMania. We know that this WrestleMania is going to be John Cena's last, so why not send him out with who is arguably his biggest rival in his career? I think it would be a damn travesty if WWE did not give us this match again. I think they're going to. This one I think is most likely going to happen. Probably, I would say, up there in terms of most likely to happen on my list. Now, I didn't go into too much detail on this one simply because I don't think it really needed. Everybody in WWE knows Randy Orton and John Cena, and if they know both of them, they probably know their history and their rivalry that they had. So when you put all of that together and you consider the fact that Randy Orton is, let's be honest, Randy Orton is getting close and close to retirement as well, we have one final opportunity to see these two legends of the business in the ring at WrestleMania. It almost has to happen, and again, it would be a travesty if it doesn't. Now, I do know a lot of people might like to see Cena try to go after Solo Sikoa and get revenge for that. Personally, I don't want to see that happen. I want Cena to stay far away from the Bloodline as possible, simply because they're trying to build this Bloodline 2.0 up, and I don't want to see Cena coming back to just put people over, which he obviously is okay with doing, but this is his retirement tour. I don't want to see him put anybody over. I want to see the Super Cena that I missed, and the Super Cena that everybody back in the day hated, but will probably love now because it is John Cena's retirement tour. I wouldn't mind seeing him get another title run. I talked about the US title. I think it would be awesome to see him get number 17, and I would not be surprised if that's the direction they wanted to go with in building this Cena retirement tour, have him chase that 17th title. But I do think Cena chasing that 17th title very well could be the big picture storyline, and we know Triple H loves his long-term booking, so I think it's very much on the table, and I would not be surprised if that's the direction that WWE went. So that is inevitably most of what I would like to see out of Cena's retirement tour. I think it's going to be a wild ride, and I think the WWE is going to hit it out of the park, because right now they are at the top of their game, and Cena even talked about how hot the business was right now. So I think they're going to knock it out of the park. I think having Triple H behind all of it is going to help a lot, and ultimately ending one of the greatest careers we've ever seen in WWE history. So that is going to do it for this video here. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. If you really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. As always, down below in the description is our Linktree link. There you can find all of our social media pages. I highly suggest going and checking out our X page. I'm really trying to grow that over there. Over on X, we do updates on Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and all of the PLEs. is, and ultimately I want that to be a place for wrestling fans to go and talk about wrestling, because not a lot of us have people to talk to about wrestling. So I am really trying to grow that over there. So if you're a wrestling fan and you really don't have anybody to talk to about wrestling, then I highly suggest going and checking it out. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more in the future, and let's enjoy John Cena's retirement tour.